Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily. Alpinist Colin Haley has had an incredible season in Patagonia. Amongst other achievements, he teamed up with Alex Honnold to complete the infamous Torre Traverse in a record-breaking 20 hours and 40 minutes. Colin was in Chamonix recently, so we took advantage of a rainy, non-climbing day to talk about his Patagonia season. So Colin, thank you very much for finding time to have a chat with us today. Can we talk a bit about Patagonia, because you had a pretty exceptional season. Should we start at the Torre Traverse? Just tell me a bit about climbing that.
The Torre Traverse in general is a climb that's been super important to me because I made the first ascent in 2008 with Rolo. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I wanted to do it again because when I climbed it with Rolo, it was kind of him masterminding the ascent, and I played an important role, but it was definitely more his climb than mine. And when Alex Honnold and I teamed up in Patagonia, not this past season, but the one before, we talked about trying it. And at first, the idea was just to try it kind of a bit faster than Rolo and I had and just repeat it. And then Alex said, no, let's try it in a day. And so we tried it, not this past season, but the one before.
To do it in a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we very nearly pulled it off, but we were hit by a really gnarly storm, just 2 pitches from the top of Cerro Torre. And so this year, we knew we wanted to try again. And some people were like, oh, you're silly, like you basically already did it, you should just call it good. But it's such an awesome objective that I knew I didn't want to leave it that way.
Did it make it harder or easier having gone so close the time before? Did you sort of know that the scary pitches were coming up? Was that playing in your mind?
It made it easier because always having prior experience on a route is advantageous, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe psychologically, it was a slight disadvantage because when we went going the second time, already knowing that we had almost done it before, maybe made us a little bit more relaxed about the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess being relaxed can be good, but also being hyper tense can be good as well.
When you set out, were you in any way prepared to back off at any point? Did you bring the kit to escape if needs be, or did you just go, you know what, we're just going to get this done?
No, for sure. Yeah, like there's various points along the Traverse that would be particularly bad spots to have to bail. Mm-hmm. But we had 2 ropes and a pretty significant rack with us, so at any point, if something went wrong, we could have bailed for sure.
And this year, I mean, we've seen so many first ascents and sort of achievements happening in Patagonia. The weather obviously has been incredible. How much of a difference did that make to your plans this season?
Obviously, there's other factors that have to come together as well to pull off a big climb in Patagonia. The conditions being the other really obvious one, and having a good partner and being mentally and physically ready when the time comes, etc. But yeah, I mean, the biggest reason that so much got done in Patagonia this year was because there was a lot of good weather. Mm-hmm.
Is it getting to feel a bit like home going back there now? How many seasons have you spent there?
I don't remember offhand if I've been 12 times to Patagonia or 13 times, but it's a lot. And I calculated recently that I've spent just under 3 years of my life in El Chaltén. Wow. So it's not quite home, but it's definitely a home away from home.
Yeah, it's getting there, yeah. So let's just talk about kit, because it's something that fascinates me. Like, I'm so bad at packing my backpack for like day trips sometimes. Like, to go on a sort of a climb that fast and light, do you just need to refine everything? Do you just, you know, are you weighing kind of every little item of gear?
Absolutely. I mean, I have an electronic scale that I use all the time. And I mean, it's not like we couldn't have pulled it off with a couple kilos more, but the less weight you carry, the more efficiently you move, always. And that kind of balance of weight affecting performance, I'd say, is even more significant in Patagonia than in most places, because in most places the climb is mostly one type of climbing. So for example, when you're climbing a free climb on El Cap, you're going to bring basically 1 or 2 pairs of rock shoes and the rack, and then how much weight you carry is basically a question of maybe clothes and water, and it's not going to change a lot. And climbing in Sham in the winter, you're going to wear the same boots for the whole climb, the same crampons, the same ice tools. But because climbing in Patagonia, specifically climbing on the Torres, involves both hard ice climbing and hard rock climbing, it means that you're trying to climb 5'10" and 5'11", carrying your ice climbing boots, your steel crampons, your ice tools, ice screws, food, water, clothing, all this stuff, and vice versa. When you're doing the hard ice climbing, you're carrying a double set of cams and rock shoes and chalk bag, and it's all on pretty technical terrain. So I think that climbing in Patagonia, especially on the Torres, trains you to be hyper aware of paring down the weight.
Yeah. Pitching wise, did you move most of it together, or?
Yeah, we simul climbed almost everything.
Okay.
There were maybe something like 8 pitches with the follower Jumaring, but that was mostly to allow us to not carry 2 pairs of real ice tools. So we did short fix a little bit, but the vast majority was simul climbing, and that was absolutely the key to moving fast enough to do it in a day.
And as a partnership between the two of you, he's obviously a renowned sort of rock climber, and you're just renowned at everything. Are you sort of teaching each other skills as you go along, or are there
totally.
things? Is Alex getting better at ice climbing?
For how few days that he's climbed in crampons, he's already incredibly adept at it. But he is still a beginner because he literally has spent probably less than 10 days in his life climbing in crampons. No, we have a really good symbiosis because we have quite different strengths, and that made it a great partnership in that Alex is a much stronger rock climber than I am, and I'm a much stronger ice and mixed climber than he is. So each of us can kind of pull the team for those portions. And each of us is confident enough and capable enough to not hold the other person back on the other person's terrain.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked out super well.
Yeah, clearly. Thanks, Colin. If you want to hear more of Colin's stories, he's doing a talk at 6 p.m. tomorrow at the EpicTV Test Centre in Chamonix. Hopefully see you there.